Aye, this has been a very significant week for the FBU's campaign to achieve justice for firefighter pensions. We're joined by the General Secretary, Wrack, to talk us through what some of these developments mean. Matt, firefighters have in very large numbers been lobbying around an early day motion and indeed a subsequent debate in Parliament. What's been the outcome of that?
Well, I think most people by now have followed that there was a debate on Monday this week around the early day motion that we supported and campaigned for to get the pension regulations annulled. That debate took place. Let's be clear what we achieved by that. First of all, we won the highest level of support for an early day motion for a number of years. I think the final figure was 283 after the debate took place. We then had to campaign to get the government to actually hold the debate by getting the Labour leadership on board with that. They demanded that, and the government called that debate, and that debate took place. An hour and a half debate with lots of interventions. We're going to be publishing some of the details of that over the next few days. People can see some of the links on the website to Hansard and some of the recordings of it. I think it's clear to everyone that we won the debate hands down in terms of the arguments. Unfortunately, we did lose the vote. But I think the significance is that because the government was onto the back foot so much, they were forced to say things they probably didn't want to say. I think that stuck out. And I think everyone who watched it felt that the arguments that were being put forward by the union were the stronger, the better case. You know, Labour didn't say everything we would want to say. It was their own point of view, but they said things that we also wanted to hear said. So fantastic work, and that only happened because of people on the ground doing that campaigning.
Well, Matt, you mentioned Hansard. That's the Parliamentary record. I've got it here, and I just want to quote something that Penny Mordaunt, the Fire Minister, said. She said this: "If someone fails a fitness test through no fault of their own, and they do not qualify for ill health retirement, they will get a redeployed role or an unreduced pension. That will be put on a statutory footing in the national framework. A full, unreduced pension, if not an alternative role." Now that's what the Fire Minister said. That seems to be a big shift in the government's position. Is it? And if so, what does it mean for us?
I think that's one of the key tasks we've got now. It does seem to be a significant shift. I think she said that or something similar 6 times during the debate. After that as well, the Secretary of State, Eric Pickles, has said almost exactly the same wording in a different discussion in the House of Commons. And if you think what the government has said up till now, the government has denied that anyone will get to that position. They've been pretending and trying to convince themselves and other people that actually there's no problem with everyone getting to 60. So it's significant in that, if nothing else. Our job, and this is why we have to be thorough, we have to be detailed and pay attention to all the ins and outs of this. Our job is to actually pin them down and work out what does that phrase mean. It should be clear, as it's said in there. It's said in the House of Commons in front of all MPs and anybody who wants to watch it. We want to make sure that that means legal protection, individual employment protection for firefighters along the lines that she's saying. So we are discussing that already with lawyers, we're discussing it with MPs, we're discussing it with some of the MPs on the government benches about what Penny Mordaunt said to her own party in the House of Commons. So that's a real important job for us over the next few days.
Matt, the statutory instrument, the pension regulations in effect, they're now in law. What does that mean for our dispute? And what are the next steps for us as we go forward?
Well, Penny Mordaunt, she's written an open letter to firefighters. She's also written to us on the same day, making the point about the regulations becoming law. Let's be clear about that. This is secondary legislation. It's not primary act of Parliament. It's a secondary, it's what's called a statutory instrument that brings those regulations into force. And we've been clear throughout that in terms of our dispute and our campaign, it alters nothing. The dispute is covered by the law. We've followed all the legal processes, and that dispute remains in force. So anything that we want to do is a matter for us. It's not a matter for Penny Mordaunt or chief fire officers or anyone else. When our members decide to settle that dispute, it's a matter for our members and nobody else. That includes whether we want to take further industrial action. The members will decide. But we've started to discuss at the Executive Council this, but as I said in the previous comment, it's quite complex because of what Mordaunt said in that debate in the House of Commons. So we've got to fit that into the other things that we're doing, the legal challenges that we've discussed before. There's 3 legal challenges that are either registered or we're finalising.
Well, Matt, you mentioned the legal challenges, but we've been mentioning this for quite a while. It seems to be taking an extraordinary length of time. What's the hold-up, if there is one?
Yeah, I think first of all, law unfortunately does take some time, but we couldn't formally register those challenges until the government had made its final position. It has now made its final position known through laying the regulations and now them coming into force. That is the point at which our lawyers tell us we can formally make progress on those challenges. So one of those I think is very close. What I will say, Tam, is we will get information from the lawyers as quickly as possible to the Executive Council and out to members over the next couple of weeks.
Now, Matt, as this dispute reaches yet another Christmas, have you got a message for firefighters, for the FBU members out in the stations there?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that has struck the political establishment, if you want to call them that. It has been noted by everyone in the House of Commons, by the government, by the opposition. Actually, firefighters in their thousands have been lobbying and campaigning. But also large numbers of them have been seen in the House of Commons. People said to me they've never seen a trade union organise such an effective lobby beforehand and on the day. That's firefighters making their mark and telling politicians we're not going to be fobbed off. If you give us an answer that's some sort of stock answer, we'll come back and challenge you and expose it if it's proved not to be right. So that's about holding Penny Mordaunt to account on what she has said in Parliament about firefighter pensions. So it's a fantastic job that our members have undertaken. It was always going to be a long, difficult fight. We've only made whatever progress we've made so far because of the determination of members. Stick with it. We've got them on the back foot on a number of points here.
Matt, thanks very much.
Thank you.
For further updates, please follow us on our website, which is www.fbu.org.uk, or if you follow Twitter, follow us at FBU National. Once again, Matt, thanks very much.
There's